Come on, Google goes live. There is, what's the word? Rejoicing is unconfined, or at least only confined to our brains. Brent and Sam here. It's the Modern Fowler Scrum. Brent, how are things with you?
Yep, good, thank you. Progress, I tidied up the pull requests yesterday, which I believe you've looked at now, thank you. As you may have seen in the local support channel, there was quite a lot of chat around the embedded map.
Yes.
Yesterday evening. Mainly it was bringing, he said he pronounced his name like Sean, so Sean Deng up to speed. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that Sean is probably going to do some work on that today from what he mentioned last night. Mm-hmm. He was really concerned because there wasn't a lot of information on the ticketing pivotal tracker, so I hopefully gave him an understanding of what the requirements were. Mm-hmm. I pointed him to watch the recording from last week's local support meeting because you demoed another site where I think the client was hoping to actually have the map placed. So hopefully he'll watch that. And then depending on if he makes any progress or not, Fernando, who unfortunately couldn't make last night, we've agreed to catch up again tomorrow evening. So hopefully there should be some progress this week.
Right.
But no blockers.
Great, good show, excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Great stuff, Brent. Also, I see Praveen is here. Great to see you, Praveen. How are things going with you?
Good, Sam. So I was kind of ill for the past week.
Sorry to hear that.
Now I'll start working on the ticket for this GitHub task.
Website one, right.
For empty website one.
Good show. Yeah, is anything blocking on it? You're happy to make progress there? I forget which ticket. I guess it's the one about OptoKit spinning.
So the GitHub task. So the task which gets the contributors summary from the GitHub API for the projects. Got stuck for if any of the project have these empty repos.
Right.
Got stuck on.
Yeah. So yeah, handle empty GitHub project more gracefully is the one. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, we'll just reach out if you need any help with that. Go on.
On this, for VCR, we had this cassette.
Yes.
Right. So whenever I try to run the aspects, the cassette file seems to go updated on our own.
Yeah, that's and that's a challenge at the moment.
Yes. So the previous file got overridden somehow. I'm not sure why it got overridden, and it's showing me in the Git log that the file has changed.
Right.
Due to which the specs are failing.
Yes. No. Well, I think maybe that's something we can look at together at the end of the Scrum. It's
sure.
Yeah. I think once you've got a good mental model of it, it becomes clearer. But it's annoyingly, not immediately obvious what's happening. So maybe if you've got some time, we can look at that together. Let's just go on to my report, which is this morning I was working on the Agile bot rubification and tests and things, and a couple more days, and that of morning's works on that. That should be sorted. I'm hoping to improve the way in which we communicate about events starting on Slack. Other things going on. It's been mainly admin. Yesterday we had at the order graders meeting, which was there's some issues with code that need sorting. We had pre face-to-face with Brent and Federico and myself, which was good. Progress on the Phoenix 1 project, and then I was hoping to make progress on re-recording AV102 videos, but I totally failed to do that, and I instead spent all my time working on invoices and estimates and so on. That was about the size of up till now. Then we have I don't think I'm not really blocked by anything. I've just looking at one, creating a new issue on website, one about allowing people who are sponsored to update their credit card details. That doesn't work at the moment. Filing a bug report. The things I mean, it's Tuesday. We've got the RSpec mob coming up soon, and we've got the NHS paid project meeting coming up soon as well. Yeah, that's about the size of it. Unless there's any other Scrum issues, that's the Scrum done. Scrum done.
So, Sam, there was also this issue on the AV on the channel AV 102. I mentioned that that for homework 1 assignment, the link you posted for doing the homework on the wiki page, it's pointing to the previous post page.
Yes. So indeed, I guess, did you see the email that I posted to edX that I posted also in the channel?
Yeah.
Yes, so I have just had a reply from edX about possible solutions to that issue. I haven't managed to process it yet. So I'll come back around to that. Any other business? Any Scrum business?
No, I'm good, thank you.
All right. Well, so Praveen, if you've got a moment, shall we have a look at your the issue there where you're running an RSpec test that's got it's using a VCR cassette to record interaction with the network, right?
Give me a moment, sir.
Sure thing. I'll also pull up. I don't know if your latest code is on your branch, but I will go and pull out that and see if I can get it on my machine. Fetch Praveen. Share screen. Here we go. All right. Check out. So, well, 1789. Oh, that's. I think it was just. Used to be able to just. I guess it's probably there. Okay, so I've got that locally. But I've got my own sets of changes. We have now included, I don't know if you've got it in here, we've now got a rake task that allows one to clear up situations with the cache. I was playing that actually. Why rake and RSpec takes so long to start? There we go. So we've got this command now, rake VCR Billy caches reset, which we've also got on the local support project now, which in a general situation, if you've got uncommitted changes to the VCR or puffing Billy, it's two different systems. If you've got changes to either of those caches, they can be sorted out with that command now, which simply deletes them and rechecks them out from the repo. So, but shall we have a little look at the task in question here? So now, which is the RSpec that you're running for this task, Praveen?
So can you share?
I'm sharing my screen at the moment. I don't know if you can see it. If you can't see it, that may well, Brent, can you see my screen?
I can, yes. Yeah.
Praveen, I guess maybe you can't see my screen? I guess it might be the case that Praveen is having connection issues, which is unfortunate. We can possibly get some way towards we've got this Dependabot going nuts on our system, telling us about upgrading things. So we can have a look. This is okay. So we've got a change here specifically to this file, so we can run this test. Now that's unfortunate if Praveen, we may be back in a moment.
We've just lost him, yeah.
What I will do, for the benefit of the recording and also getting my own head into the right place, is run this test here. And I think what Praveen was asking about was, it was the situation of running this test and then seeing that there were changes to this. So we've just run that test, and now, yeah, at the moment there, I'm not getting any changes to my VCR files. Hey, Praveen, can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see my screen.
Yeah, so I have done some changes
locally
for the fix. Yeah, for the fix.
Uh-huh.
I'll show it to you.
Well, you could show it to me, or you could quickly push those into the existing branch.
Sure.
And then you can also show it to me. But yeah, I often talk to people like this. Whenever you have a code issue or a question or a thought, and you want to have it examined, you'll make it much easier for people to provide quick help and support if the code that you're currently talking about is already in the pull request. It may seem counterintuitive because you kind of feel like, well, I'm playing about with this stuff locally, and I kind of, it's not ready to be shown. I often think, oh, you did, excellent. I was just sort of talking over while you did it. So you've got a few more things in there. We've got a buy bug in there. Yeah, so they're bits and pieces, and they can always be. So I'll pull that down to myself. You feel free to share your screen if you want to show me the specific thing, or just tell me specifically which. Tell me specifically which precise test that you're running causes the problem.
I was running the whole spec for this task.
Okay. Yeah.
GitHub commit flow spec I did.
So actually, okay. So you're running the whole GitHub commits job spec, like so.
Yeah.
Yep. Indeed. Okay. So I noticed that there are some buy bugs in that file that are kind of going to cause that test to hang. If it's, let's say we're going to find those buy bugs. So we've got buy bugs in the actual commits job itself. So I'll just go and comment those out if I can find them. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm seeing GitHub commit. Am I not looking at the right file? I'm seeing here buy bugs added in that. Are they not? For some reason, in another window, I'm looking at this with RubyMine. I'm not seeing. That makes me think that I haven't pulled in your. I tried to do. Yeah, I fetched that. I would have hoped that doing this would merge that into there. If I do git hist head here, so I'm on ATCD 9494, and if we look at the commits on here, yeah, for some reason I'm still on this one. So
you need to put a slash in, I think, instead of a space.
I think the difference is that actually, for some reason, now when I'm looking at this in the pull request, it seems to be coming from the main repo and not from Praveen's repo. So I think what's happened there is that I think I need to do this. Yeah, that was it. Because yeah, I was for some reason I was pulling from Praveen's. I think the mistake was originally mine. So now, yeah, I can see the buy bugs in the file, and they're saved. So we'll do a git status here, and we'll see. Right. So the only change that we've got at the moment is we can do git diff to see that are the buy bugs that I've removed from there. And if we can now run the set of tests for all of the GitHub commits job spec. Let's see what happens there. So that's going to run all of those specs, and we could have a quick look at the code. So we've got our jobs, GitHub commit job spec. Let's look at how the VCR cassette is working. What's going on in the background? We've got some failures there. Got some different things going on. Let's have a look at state there. Yeah, so at the moment, I'm not getting any changes to the cache files, Praveen, but you do when you run the tests? Or maybe you're still muted at the moment, Praveen, or maybe that you have some existing changes?
No, so when I run the test cases, so I get this this thing in the status that this spec fixture.
Yeah.
Said,
do you want to share your? Can you share your screen and show it to me?
Sure.
While Praveen's sorting that out, we can have a look here and see that we are indeed setting up, what the VCR index there. So we've got this particular cassette. Yep. So Praveen's now sharing his screen. Yeah.
See this after running the task, it shows me this that DB schema.rb has also been changed and spec fixtures.
Right. So now the thing to do there is, so if you do, to take yourself down to like an open bit in the terminal. I can't see the very bottom of the screen. Just get to a fresh place where you can start typing. Here, right. So to type, you're on the branch there. Type GS or git status now, and let's see what we have here.
Now I have started all those changes.
Okay, right. So now run the test for us, and let's see it there. So we'll see those tests going. So, okay, so you've got the same errors then as me. And then so if we look at the git status.
So now if I add my project.
Okay. All right, so you're saying that there's some changes that you make to the code there, right, which are commented out on my side, which is the project with the empty repo.
Yes.
Yeah. So you've uncommented those. And now when you run that, let's see what happens there. Kill the failures. Yeah. Okay. And now you have git status again. Right. Yes. So this is sort of what we would expect there, because if we let's think about what this cassette is. So website 1 stats.yaml. If we open that file, have you got that file to hand? So if we open that file, what we should see, like this file is going to consist of all of the requests that go out to the GitHub, right? So when you've added a new repository, so I think you've added like a project with empty repo.
Yes.
So then that's kind of like a new, like as part of the tests, a new request will go out, right? And it will be the system VCR will not have seen that request before, so it will add it to the end of the file.
Oh. Okay. So what I need to do is add that request and response to this file myself. And
say that again. You can add what? Sorry.
Add that this specific request that I'm fetching
Yeah, yeah.
Request and
right.
From the GitHub API and manually add it to this file.
No,
right?
well, so you would never usually edit that file, right? That file is keeps sharing your screen. That file is generated by VCR, and so the fact that there's a change in it is because, and I guess like, well, what we'll do is maybe, I don't know, is this what I hope this is also interesting to you, Brent. I don't know how familiar you are with VCR.
Yes, it is interesting. Thanks.
Well,
I'm not familiar, so I know what it is, and that's about it. So.
Right. And I'll maybe this is like VCR. I don't know if this drawing will help, but I will do it because I feel like, you know, it's one of those things that needs extra description. Is that what we have? Is we've got kind of this is, let's say that this is our test sandbox, right? And please, Praveen, you know, stop me with things that you're sort of unclear on or what have you, because I think understanding this is really valuable. So what we've got is, you know, there's the whole of the Rails in there, but at the moment we're only really concerned with the GitHub commit job, right? So we've got our sandbox that the GitHub commit job will run inside, yeah? And we're going to drive the running of that via, you know, some tests. So we've got our specs, yeah? And so what we've also got, what also exists is, and I use like, we've got the external, this is, let's call it, let's like, you know, we've got our GitHub that we can also talk to, yeah? And then we've got VCR here, yeah? So, and VCR is in addition to our test sandbox, yeah? So what's going to happen is that the first time, you know, that we run any new spec that we've created, or if we change specs, like potentially, and I guess I'll get this, let's like what would happen in the normal situation is we've just got some kind of network interface, yeah?
Yeah.
And like so. And what's going to happen is that normally the thing will talk to the network interface, and the network interface will kind of go off and talk to the remote service, and then the data will flow back, and that's, you know, all well and good, right? That's the normal setup. So what I'm tempted to do here actually is like this is normal setup. If I now make a copy of this, so VCR, let's call this in action. Okay, hopefully it'll give me a copy of it. So now if we're using VCR, what happens?
Can I stop the screen share?
You can stop the screen share. Yes. Yeah, feel free to either way. So when we run VCR, instead of going to the network interface, the GitHub job goes to VCR, and then like on the first occasion that you know, that we've done this, like the first time around, like if VCR in its file, if it's YAML file, if there's no record of a network connection ever having been made before, like to a particular endpoint, to a particular URL, right? Yeah, and so by particular URL, I mean like we've got like a new, this is kind of like going to be HTTP github.com/API/blah. You know, there's a new that hasn't been previously saved URL. So that's gonna, yep, great. That's gonna go through. It's gonna come back from GitHub through the network interface through VCR. VCR is going to hand that back to the system. The test is going to pass or fail. At the same time, VCR is going to automatically write the results of that request, the network request, into its file, that YAML file. Yeah. And so then finally, if we're now VCR in action again, in that last case, like if we now run the tests again with the file modified and we hit the same endpoint, what's going to happen is that we're just not going to, VCR is going to say, oh, I have a recording of what that request was. I don't need to reach out to the network interface and GitHub or whoever. I can play that network request back directly based on the contents of the file. Does that make sense?
It does to me. I have a question.
Yeah.
If something changes, like the format of the JSON that's returned or something, can
Yeah.
you force it to re-record?
You can by deleting. You can both insert like re-recording flags, or you can delete the file or the part of the file that corresponds to that request.
Got you. Yeah.
Praveen, is that making sense to you?
Yeah.
So you don't generally, unless you're kind of getting your hands dirty and you're trying to like tinker with things, you generally don't need to edit the files that VCR is creating, right? But you do if you're working with a VCR enabled test, which for me, usually I think unit tests probably shouldn't use VCR. I mean, it's an interesting question there about whether we should be using VCR in that way. Anyway, we're using VCR. What you've got to be aware of is that the cache is just very tricky, because you might, like, as you're evolving the test, right? You're evolving the test, you're evolving the code. Changes in the test and the code can lead to different requests going to VCR, right? So you might end up with a series of different, you might end up with a series of different, you know, requests that go through, some of which you don't actually need to be recorded for the test to pass. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I think Brent knows what I mean. Praveen?
Yeah, I think Praveen's on mute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's where this command that I was just showing is very important. So like for you right now, you probably don't need to worry that that file is changing, right? Because although sometimes, like, if you record something once and it gets the wrong result from GitHub, like a authentication error, and then VCR records and is repeatedly playing back to you the authentication error, then it can be really confusing. You can be like, oh, but I'm authenticated, and you can be changing all this code around in here and not be realizing that VCR is playing back. Like VCR, if GitHub happens to be down the first time there's a request to VCR, it's going to end up recording, like, you know, a strange response to this endpoint. Yeah. Like, you know, unauthenticated or whatever. So it's just, and that can be really confusing. And you can get really like, oh, I have no idea what's going on. And it's not until you delete the file or the VCR reset it that you're, so what I would say is, for your purposes now, you know, you keep on getting the tests and the code into the place that you want to, right? If everything's a bit strange, right, and you're like, this is not behaving in the way, and you really, it's kind of a bit sticky, then you can use the command that I was showing here before, that I created recently. Where's it gone? Here, rake VCR Billy caches reset. Yeah, and what that will do is it will make sure that all of the cached files will go back to the state that they were, like, you know, for this, for the last commit on whichever branch you're on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can always check that command by doing rake -t, and it will show you that thing there. I'm going to say there. So that's that. The other thing that you need to be aware of, and I know this is a lot of different stuff, I have tried to summarize various parts of this in the website one contributing guides. Better documentation certainly needed. If you, having got to the end of the discussion, are going, oh yes, I understand it, please help me write more better documentation about understanding this thing, because it's really tricky. The other thing that you want to be aware of is that through the process of having done a series of tests, right? You've been, you know, you're doing one spec and the changes, like, the file can end up getting filled with lots of network requests that actually they're just failure states because of when the test was broken and this, that, and the other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
What you want to do is, you don't have to be cleaning that file away every time, but when you get to the end and everything's green, yeah, that's a really good time to run this command again. Yeah. Clear out any junk that you might have added and then rerun the tests one last time, checking that they're still green. And at that time, I think you would expect to get changes like you were seeing in the Git status there, Praveen. And hopefully they will be the minimal, just 1 or 2 additional endpoints that you need for the new tests in their new form. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So and I was just about to say hello to Sibab, but there you go. All right. Any other questions there, Praveen?
No.
All right. Good stuff. Well, that's our Scrum. Sibab was just saying in the chat there, he's writing WebDriver tests using Capybara, and that just got me very interested to even ask one of you when you're not busy to help me out. I was going to have said to Sibab, yeah, we usually focus in Agile Ventures on all this kind of stuff, specifically for Agile Ventures charity projects rather than people's personal projects, although conceivably we can give a little help and support, particularly through the Slack instance, which maybe Sibabwe will join at some point, and we'll help him out there. All right, that's our Scrum and follow-up chat. I'll post these these diagrams somewhere so that, in case you want to refer to them. Obviously, we've got the video of this, but there we go.
Excellent, thank you.
Good stuff. All right. Right, thanks, Praveen. Oh, and I'll just turn that off and